My dad texted, "We've changed all the locks. You're not welcome here anymore. Let's see how tough you are now." 2 days later, their lawyer called me in a panic. "We have a problem. Please call me back immediately." I'm 24 and I work at a warehouse making $19 an hour. Not glamorous, but it's honest work with benefits and overtime. My parents acted like I was flipping burgers at McDonald's. The real drama started 6 months ago. My dad's car dealership was tanking. Sales down 60%. Inventory sitting for months. He called me into his office on a Sunday and said I needed to quit my warehouse job and work for him for free to save the family business. When I said no, my mom called me selfish, said I was spitting on everything they'd sacrificed for me. My younger brother, who works there making $45K doing basic paperwork, told everyone at Sunday dinner that I had abandoned the family in their time of need. The texts got nasty after that. My dad said I was an embarrassment, that I'd rather work with minimum wage losers than help my own blood. My mom stopped talking to me entirely. Then came that text at 11:17 p.m. on a Tuesday. I was getting ready for bed after a double shift. I read it twice, thinking it was some kind of joke. It wasn't. They had changed the locks while I was at work and put my stuff in garbage bags on the lawn. My Xbox, my clothes, everything, just sitting there in the rain. My girlfriend helped me load everything into her Honda. Took us 3 trips. I slept on her couch that night, completely humiliated. My mom posted on Facebook about entitled children who think they're too good for their family. I got 47 comments from relatives I barely knew calling me ungrateful. Here's what they didn't know. 3 years ago, I got a Facebook message from someone named Robert Chen. He said he was my grandfather, my mom's dad. She'd cut him off before I was born over some family fight she refused to ever talk about. We met at a Starbucks on Riverside. He was 74, had kind eyes, and wore the same old Casio watch every single time. He didn't want anything from me. He just wanted to know me. No drama, no demands, just coffee. We met every Tuesday at 6 p.m. for 2.5 years. He'd tell me stories about building houses in the 70s, about my grandmother who died when my mom was 15. He never once badmouthed my parents, just said he regretted losing all those years with his daughter. When he got diagnosed with lung cancer last year, I visited him every day in hospice. My mom had no idea. He passed on March 3rd at 4:22 a.m. I was holding his hand. 4 months later, I got a certified letter from his estate attorney. He'd left me everything. His savings of $127,000, his old Ford F-150, and the deed to a house at 1247 Oakmont Drive, my parents' address. Turns out my grandfather had bought that house for my mom in 1997 as a wedding gift. But after their big fight in '98, he never transferred the deed. It stayed in his name for 27 years. My mom thought she owned it. She'd been making monthly payments to him, $840 a month. Payments he deposited into a secret account for me. Another $43,000 sitting there. The deed transferred to me the day he died. I knew about it for months. I just never told them. I was waiting to see if they'd ever treat me like family instead of free labor. That text message was my answer. Their lawyer found out when they tried to sell the house to teach me a lesson about respect. The title search came back with my name as legal owner. Not theirs, mine. I got the panicked voicemail at 9:14 a.m. on a Wednesday. "Mr. Chen, this is David Morrison from Morrison & Associates. We represent Henry and Lisa Chen regarding the property at 1247 Oakmont Drive. There's been a significant legal issue discovered. Please call immediately." I listened to it 3 times while eating breakfast. Then I called the lawyer my grandfather's estate had recommended. By Friday morning, I had changed every single lock on that house. Professional locksmith, $340. I watched him drill out every deadbolt, every window lock, the garage door code. Saturday at 8 o'clock a.m., I found an envelope taped to the inside of the kitchen cabinet, the one above the stove, the only place my grandfather ever said to look if anything ever felt wrong. Inside was a letter in his handwriting and a USB drive. I plugged it in. It was 47 minutes of audio. My grandfather's voice, steady and clear, recording every single phone call my mother had made to him over the last decade. Calls where she screamed at him, threatened him, told him she'd make sure he died alone. He recorded all of it, and the last file on the drive was dated 2 days before my parents changed the locks on me. I sat there at the kitchen table, the same table where I'd eaten probably 1,000 dinners growing up, listening to my mom's voice through my laptop speakers. The first recording was from 2015. She was yelling about how he'd ruined her life, how he'd never supported her, how he was a bitter old man who couldn't stand to see her happy. My grandfather barely said anything, just, "Lisa, please," and "I'm sorry you feel that way." She hung up on him. The next recording was worse. 2017. She told him he was dead to her, that he'd never meet his grandchildren because he didn't deserve to, that he could rot alone for all she cared. I heard him crying after she hung up. Actual crying. This old man who built houses with his bare hands, who survived lung cancer treatments without complaining once, was sobbing because his daughter hated him, and I didn't even know why. There were 23 recordings total. The last one was from 2 days before they threw my stuff on the lawn. My mom called him at 10:47 p.m., said she needed $15,000 $3,000 to keep the dealership afloat. He said no, said he'd given her enough over the years and she'd wasted it all. She screamed at him that he was selfish, that family was supposed to help family, that she hoped he died miserable. Then she hung up. The recording kept going for another minute, just silence and his breathing. Then his voice, quiet and tired. "I'm sorry, Lisa. I tried." And the file ended. I called Morrison, their lawyer, back at 10:30 Monday morning. He picked up on the second ring. "Mr. Chen, thank you for calling back. We need to discuss." "I know what you need to discuss," I said. "The house is mine." There was a pause. Papers, shuffling. "Yes, that's correct. Your parents were unaware of the ownership status. They've been making payments to your grandfather believing they were standard mortgage payments. When we ran the title search for the sale, your name appeared as sole owner. This is obviously a very difficult situation." "Difficult for who?" I asked. Another pause. Longer this time. "Mr. Chen, I understand there may be family tensions here, but do they have any legal claim to the property?" "No, the deed is clear. Your grandfather purchased the home in 1997 and maintained ownership until his death. The payments your parents made were not contractually obligated and could be considered gifts or rent, depending on how you want to frame it. But no, they have no legal claim. So what are my options?" "Well," he cleared his throat, "you could negotiate a buyout. They could purchase the home from you at fair market value, or you could allow them to continue living there and formalize a rental agreement. Or," he trailed off, "or I could evict them. That would be within your legal rights, yes." I thought about my stuff in garbage bags on the lawn, my mom's Facebook post, my dad's text at 11:17 p.m. "Let's see how tough you are now." "Draw up the eviction notice," I said. 30 days. "Mr. Chen, I'd strongly advise you to consider 30 days. Standard notice. How much?" He sighed. "My retainer for this would be $3,500. The eviction process, if uncontested, would likely total around $8,000, including court fees and service. Send me the paperwork." I met with Morrison in person on Tuesday morning. His office was in one of those converted historic buildings downtown with exposed brick and reclaimed wood floors. He was maybe 50, gray hair, tired eyes. The kind of guy who'd probably seen every type of family nightmare there was. "I'm going to be honest with you," he said, sliding the paperwork across his desk. "This is going to get ugly. I've handled a lot of evictions. Parent-child evictions are the worst. Are you prepared for that? They threw my stuff on the lawn in the rain and posted about it on Facebook." He nodded slowly. "Okay, sign here, here, and initial here." The process server delivered the notice on Tuesday afternoon at 4:35 p.m. I know because Morrison called me right after. "It's done." Your mother answered the door. She took the papers. Did she say anything? She stood there reading them for several minutes. Then she closed the door. That was it. I waited for the call, the text, the Facebook post, something. Nothing came. Not that night, not Wednesday, not Thursday. By Friday, I was checking my phone every 10 minutes like some kind of addict. My girlfriend noticed. "You okay?" she asked. We were making dinner in her tiny kitchen, pasta with jarred sauce because neither of us could really cook. "Yeah, just waiting." "For what?" "For them to, I don't know, react." She stirred the pasta, not looking at me. "Maybe they're too shocked to react. Maybe. Or maybe they're talking to lawyers. Morrison said they don't have a case. I didn't say they had a case. I said they might be talking to lawyers." She drained the pasta, steam rising up around her face. People don't always care if they have a case when they're angry enough. Saturday morning, I drove by the house. Their cars were in the driveway. My dad's Silverado and my mom's Camry, both parked in their usual spots like nothing had changed. The porch light was on even though it was 9 a.m. I sat in the truck 3 houses down, watching. The front door opened and my brother came out carrying a trash bag to the curb. He was wearing the old high school football shirt he always wore on weekends. He didn't look my way, just put the trash out and went back inside. 5 days after the notice was served, my phone rang at 11:23 p.m. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. "Yeah? It's me." My brother's voice. Flat. Calm. We hadn't talked in 8 months. Not since he'd called me a selfish piece of trash at Sunday dinner for refusing to work at the dealership. "What do you want?" "I want to know if you're actually going through with this." I didn't say anything. "They're looking at apartments they can't afford," he continued. "Dad's been at the dealership until midnight every night trying to move inventory at cost just to cover the floor plan loans. Mom's barely sleeping, and you're evicting them from the house they've lived in for almost 30 years. The house Grandpa bought, the house they pretended to own while treating me like garbage. So this is revenge. This is consequences." He laughed, but it wasn't a real laugh, more like air leaving a tire. "Consequences, right. What's the end game here? You get the house, you sell it, you're rich. Then what? You feel better? They threw my stuff on the lawn in the rain, and you're making them homeless. Congrats, you win. I didn't start this." "No, but you're sure as hell finishing it." He was quiet for a second. "I'm not asking you to forgive them. I'm asking what you actually want. Because if this is just about hurting them back, you need to say that. They made their choice when they changed the locks." "Okay," he said. "Just that. Okay." Then he hung up. I sat there holding the phone for maybe 5 minutes. My girlfriend came out of the bedroom in her pajamas, hair messy from sleep. Who was that? My brother. What did he want? To make me feel like shit, I think. She sat down next to me on the couch. Didn't say anything, just put her head on my shoulder. We stayed like that until I couldn't feel my arm anymore. Wednesday night, a week and a half after the eviction notice, she asked me to sit down at the kitchen table. She had that look, the serious one. We need to talk. My stomach dropped. About what? About you. About this whole situation. About us. Okay? She folded her hands on the table. I love you. You know that. But I can't do this anymore. Can't do what? This. The way you won't actually talk about what's happening. The way you snap at me when I ask simple questions. The way you're not here even when you're here. She looked down at her hands. It's like you're somewhere else all the time. And I get it. This is hard, but I can't be the only person trying to have an actual conversation. I'm going through a lot right now. I know you are, but so am I. And you haven't asked me how I'm doing in 3 weeks. That hit me, because she was right. I couldn't remember the last time I'd asked her anything that wasn't about food or what time she was getting home. I'm sorry. I don't want sorry. I want you to actually be present. Or if you can't do that right now, I need you to tell me so I can decide what I'm doing. What does that mean? It means I need space. Not a breakup, just space. You can stay here, but I need you to move into the second bedroom for a while. I need to not feel like I'm taking care of someone who doesn't want to be taken care of. I moved my stuff that night. Took me 20 minutes. Air mattress from Target for $40, my backpack of clothes, phone charger. The second bedroom was barely big enough for a twin bed. She'd been using it for storage. Boxes of old textbooks, a broken printer, a yoga mat she'd used maybe twice. I set up the air mattress between the boxes and lay there staring at the ceiling, listening to her move around in the other room. Day 28 of the eviction notice, my parents still hadn't moved out. I drove by at 8:47 p.m. on my way home from a late shift. Kitchen light on, 2 cars in the driveway, like the notice didn't exist. I called Morrison the next morning. They're still there. I'm aware. I drove by yesterday to confirm. Do you want to proceed with formal eviction through the courts? My voice cracked when I answered. I don't know why. Yes. All right, I'll file the paperwork today. Court hearing will probably be in about 3 weeks. Are you certain about this? I thought about lying on the air mattress in a room full of my girlfriend's broken stuff, about my brother's voice on the phone, about my grandfather's recordings. Yeah, I'm certain. The hearing was set for 3 weeks out. October 19th at 9 a.m., I took the day off work, which meant losing $152 in wages because I'd already used my PTO, wore the only button-down shirt I owned, khakis I'd bought for my grandfather's funeral. Morrison met me outside the courthouse at 8:45. They're here, he said. Different lawyer. Guy named Patterson. Cheap. Works out of a strip mall. Will that matter? Probably not. The case is pretty straightforward. But he might try to argue they should get credit for improvements they made to the property over the years. Can he do that? He can argue it. Won't work. The deed is clear and they had no formal agreement. We went inside. The courtroom was smaller than I expected. Maybe 20 seats. My parents were sitting on the left side with their lawyer, a guy in a wrinkled suit who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. My mom was wearing her church dress. My dad had on the same sport coat he wore to every wedding and funeral. They didn't look at me when I sat down. The judge was a woman, maybe 60, with reading glasses on a chain. She looked tired before we even started. Case number 47, CV 2024-08392. Chen versus Chen. Eviction proceedings. Mr. Patterson, you're representing the defendants? Patterson stood up. Yes, Your Honor. Henry and Lisa Chen have resided at 1247 Oakmont Drive for 27 years. They've made regular payments, maintained the property, made significant improvements including a new roof in 2019, kitchen renovation in 2021. Mr. Patterson, the judge cut him off. Do your clients have any legal ownership claim to the property? Well, no, Your Honor, but is there a lease agreement in place? No, but they were under the impression. Is there any written agreement granting them tenancy? Patterson looked at his notes. No, Your Honor. Then what exactly are we doing here? Your Honor, these are extenuating circumstances. The property owner is their son. The payments they made were to his grandfather, who they believed. I've reviewed the deed and payment records, Mr. Patterson. The payments were made to Robert Chen, who owned the property. There was no mortgage, no lease, no formal agreement of any kind. Your clients were essentially tenants at will. The property owner has served proper notice. Unless you have some legal basis for denying this eviction, we're done here. My mom made a sound. Not a word, just a sound. My dad put his hand on her arm. The judge looked at Morrison. Eviction granted. 14 days to vacate. Next case. It was over in 8 minutes. We stood up. My parents walked out first. My mom didn't cry. She just looked at me once while walking past. Her face was blank. I couldn't read anything in it at all. My dad kept his eyes forward. In the parking lot, I threw up in the bushes next to Morrison's Mercedes. He pretended not to notice, just handed me a bottle of water from his car. You okay? Yeah. This is the hard part. It gets easier from here. It didn't feel easier. It felt like I'd just set something on fire and was standing there watching it burn. The bill from Morrison came 3 days later. $11,400 total. I paid it from the inheritance account through online banking. Watched the balance drop from $127,000 to $115,600. Felt like getting punched in the stomach even though I knew it was coming. My girlfriend made me coffee the next morning. We didn't talk about it. Just sat at the kitchen table in silence drinking coffee that was too hot. She was wearing my old t-shirt, the one from the warehouse safety training. I noticed she'd stopped wearing her own pajamas around me, like she needed the distance even in what she wore. "How'd the hearing go?" she finally asked. "They have 14 days. And then what? Then they're out. Are they going to actually leave?" "I don't know." She nodded, staring into her coffee. "I'm sorry this is happening." "Which part?" "All of it." Day 12 of the court-ordered move-out. I drove by at 7:15 a.m. on my way to work. There were 4 moving boxes on the porch. Just 4. Brown cardboard, taped up, stacked next to the front door. For a 3-bedroom house they'd lived in for 27 years. I called Morrison from the parking lot. "They're not packing. There's like 4 boxes. I'll call Patterson and remind him of the deadline. If they're not out by day 15, we do sheriff-assisted eviction." "How much is that?" $450 plus whatever the locksmith charges, probably another $100. So, $550. Roughly, yes. I did the math in my head. $11,850 total I'd spent on this. More than half a year's salary from the warehouse. 6 months of my life traded for evicting my parents. "Do it," I said. Day 15 was a Monday. I couldn't make myself go. Couldn't watch the sheriff physically remove my parents from the house they thought they owned. Morrison said he'd handle it. He called me at 10:23 a.m. I was at a red light. Some podcast I wasn't listening to playing through my truck's speakers. "It's done." "They left?" "They took what they could fit in their cars and a small U-Haul. Left the furniture, kitchen stuff, photos on the walls, some personal items I had the deputies box up and leave on the porch. Do you want me to arrange storage?" "I'll deal with it later. The locks have been changed again. I have the new keys. When do you want to meet?" "I don't know. Thursday?" "Thursday works. I'll have the keys and a full inventory of what was left behind." I sat through the green light until someone honked. Drove to work on autopilot. Clocked in. Moved boxes around. Went to lunch. Came back. Moved more boxes. Clocked out at 5:30. Sat in the truck in the parking lot until 6:45 staring at my phone's lock screen. I went to the house on Saturday morning, 8:17 a.m. Morrison had dropped the keys off Thursday like he said. 2 new keys on a plain metal ring. I sat in the driveway for 15 minutes before going inside. The house smelled wrong. Not bad, just wrong, like someone else's house. My parents' bed was still in the master bedroom, made up with the same blue comforter they'd had for years. My mom's reading glasses on the nightstand. A bookmark in a Barbara Kingsolver novel at page 187. In the kitchen, my dad's coffee mug was in the sink. Still had coffee in it. Maybe a week old now. Green mold floating on top. I didn't touch it. Family photos lined the hallway. Me at 8, missing my front teeth. My brother's high school graduation. A beach vacation in 2009. My parents' wedding photo from 1995. All still hanging there like this was still their house. I sat on the couch in the living room. The same couch where I'd played video games in middle school. Where I told them I got into college. Where my dad had called me into his office that Sunday 6 months ago and told me to quit my job. I was supposed to feel victorious, like I'd won something. I didn't feel anything close to that, just tired. I listed the house on Tuesday. Morrison recommended a realtor, some guy named Stevens who wore too much cologne and talked too fast. He walked through with a clipboard, making notes. "Great bones. Good neighborhood. I'd say list at $369,000. Should move fast in this market." The first showing was that Friday. Stevens called me after. "Got an offer. $355,000. All cash. Close in 30 days. Counter at $365,000. "You sure?" "All cash is pretty attractive. Counter at $365,000. They accepted the next morning. Inspection scheduled for the following Wednesday. I started looking at apartments I could actually afford. 1-bedrooms in decent areas for around $100 a month. The buyer's financing fell through 3 days before closing. Their bank pulled out. Something about debt-to-income ratios. The deal collapsed at 4:47 p.m. on a Thursday. Stevens called me sounding actually upset for once. "I'm sorry, man. This almost never happens with cash buyers. They must have been playing games with the bank. So now what? Back on the market. I've got another showing tomorrow. We'll find someone." The next offer came in at $340,000. I took it. Stevens said I should counter, but I just wanted it done. Finished. Over. Closing set for December 3rd. 37 days out. My brother posted on Instagram the first week of November. Photo of him and my dad closing up the dealership at 11:04 p.m. according to the timestamp. Both of them looked exhausted. Dad had grease on his shirt. The caption was just one word: family. My girlfriend's friend sent it to her. She showed it to me while I was eating cereal on the air mattress in the second bedroom. "You see this?" I looked, felt something twist in my chest. Yeah, you okay? Why wouldn't I be? She sat down on the edge of the air mattress. It shifted under her weight. Because that's your dad working himself to death to keep his business alive. He laid everyone off except himself and my brother. I know. They're running it with just the two of them. 80-hour weeks trying to move inventory at cost. I know that too. Then why are you showing me this? Because I don't know if you know what you're feeling about it. And I think maybe you should figure that out. I put the cereal bowl down. I feel like they made their choices. I made mine. Okay. She stood up. I'm going to Amanda's for dinner. There's leftover chicken in the fridge. She left at 6:30. I ate the chicken standing at the counter, not bothering with a plate. Then I got in the truck and drove to the dealership. It was 8:15 p.m. The lights were still on. Through the windows, I could see my dad at the desk in his office, my brother on the phone at the sales counter. No other cars in the lot except theirs, and the inventory nobody was buying. I sat in the truck across the street for 40 minutes watching them work. My dad rubbed his eyes a lot. My brother kept running his hands through his hair the way he did when he was stressed. At 9:03, they turned off the lights and locked up. Stood in the parking lot talking for a few minutes. My dad put his hand on my brother's shoulder. Then they got in their separate cars and left. I went home and didn't tell anyone I'd been there. Closing happened on December 3rd at 2:30 p.m. in a title company office that smelled like burnt coffee. I signed what felt like 50 pages. The buyers were a young couple, maybe late 20s, excited about the neighborhood and the school district. They asked if I'd grown up there. I said yes. They said that must make it bittersweet to sell. I said sure. After fees and commission, I netted $800. Morrison's office wired it to my account that afternoon. Combined with what was left of the inheritance, I had $428,400. I sat in the truck looking at my phone's banking app. 6 figures. More money than I'd ever imagined having. I quit the warehouse job 2 days later, gave my notice to the shift supervisor, a guy named Phil, who'd always been decent to me. You find something better? Going back to school? Trade school. Good for you, man. You've got a job here anytime if it doesn't work out. Thanks, Phil. My last day was December 19th. They got me a cake from the grocery store bakery. White frosting. Good luck. In blue letters. I ate a piece to be polite and left at 5:30 with a box of my stuff from my locker. Safety glasses, work gloves, a picture of me and my girlfriend from before everything got complicated. I enrolled in an 18-month electrical certification program starting in January, $14,000 up front. The orientation was on January 6th in a community college classroom that smelled like industrial cleaner. 23 students. I was the oldest by at least 5 years. The instructor was a guy named Williams, maybe 55, arms like tree trunks from decades of pulling wire. This program has a 40% completion rate. Most people quit in the first 6 months. The math is harder than you think. The code book is 900 pages. The practical work will make your back hurt. If you're here because you think it's easy money, leave now. Nobody left. The first month was brutal. We did code theory, electrical math, basic circuitry. I failed my first quiz with a 52%. Spent 3 hours that night in the community college library going over Ohm's law until it made sense. Retook the quiz, got an 84%. My girlfriend texted me on January 23rd. Coffee? We met at the same Starbucks where I'd first met my grandfather. She ordered a latte. I got black coffee. How's school? She asked. Hard. Good. I don't know. You going to finish it? Yeah, I think so. Good. She stirred her latte even though she hadn't put anything in it. I've been thinking. About what? About us. About what we're doing. My stomach dropped. Okay. I don't want to get back together right now. I'm not there yet. But I don't want to completely lose you either. So what does that mean? It means we're still figuring it out. And that's okay. We sat there for an hour talking about nothing important. Her job, my classes, a show she'd been watching. Normal things. It felt good. 5 months into the program, mid-June, I got a letter forwarded from my old address at the house. My name written in handwriting I recognized immediately. My dad's. I held it for 3 days. Kept it on the kitchen counter in the apartment I'd finally rented. A 1-bedroom in a decent area for $1,150 a month. Walked past it every morning and night. Didn't open it. Sunday morning I finally did. Sat on my couch with coffee at 9:30 a.m. The envelope was thin, 1 page inside. I unfolded it. The handwriting was messier than usual, like he'd written it fast or his hands were shaking. We found an apartment near the dealership. 2-bedroom. It's small, but it works. Your mother asks about you sometimes. I don't know what to tell her. I listened to the recordings. All of them. Patterson made me as part of the case preparation. Said I needed to know what we were dealing with. I didn't remember saying those things to your grandfather. Or maybe I just didn't want to remember. She was wrong. I was wrong. We both were. We treated him like he was the problem when really we were just angry people who didn't know how to be anything else. And then we did the same thing to you. I don't expect forgiveness. I'm not asking for it. But I wanted you to know the recordings changed something. Made me realize how much damage we did that we can't take back. The dealership is still open. Barely. Your brother and I are keeping it alive. We work every day. Weekends, too. It's not much, but it's honest work. You'd probably laugh at that. Us finally understanding what honest work means. I'm sorry. I know that doesn't fix it. Dad, I read it 4 times. Then I folded it back up and put it in the kitchen drawer with the takeout menus and spare batteries. Didn't throw it away. Didn't respond. Just closed the drawer and went back to studying for my next exam on 3-phase power systems. The letter stayed in that drawer. Thanks for watching till the end. Make sure to like and subscribe.